What's up YouTube? Welcome back to the Acura Audio Garage. Today we just have a quick install video. So we're working on this 06 MDX. We're going to be putting a Bose double din in it. Real simple, real easy. So if you're figuring out if you can do this, how to do it, what you need, stay tuned. Make sure you like the video, subscribe. I'm going to get started. Alright guys, so I don't have much experience with this year's MDX yet. I did some research before the install, but here are the parts that we are going to use. So we have our dash kit, 957866B. Obviously our radio, this radio doesn't require you to flush mount any USB or run a microphone, so it's very easy to install. Once you get it in the dash, that's really it. Then we have our harnesses. I'm not sure exactly which one we're going to use, if we're going to use the one with RCAs or just a traditional Metro part, but here it is, 701721, just in case. And since we want to keep our serial controls working, we're going to be using the AXSWC one. I've never taken the radio out of an MDX this year MDX before, so the best way to figure out how to do that is either YouTube, like you're watching now, or opening the dash kit, reading the instructions. So I'm going to do that, and then we'll get started with the disassembly. All right, guys, according to the instructions, it's disconnect the negative battery terminal so you don't do any short circuiting. So make sure you do that when you're installing your radio. Unclip the trim panels around the AC, and then remove 6 mounting screws, and then remove 8 screws from the radio. So it looks like there's a lot of screws. But it should be rather simple disassembly. So unclip this panel. You got 6 screws holding it, and then you got 8 screws holding the whole thing together. This one has navigation. We have the Bose system. We're going to keep our navigation working. We're going to retain our Bose system and all our speakers. So I'm going to get started with disassembly. So on panels like this, you want to pry where you're not going to damage the panel. It's wood grain, so it's like a fancy looking panel. So we want to start at a corner where you're never going to see it. Something like interior. There's no leverage there. Let me take this off. That side wanted to give a little, so let's try over there. Be careful with this dash too. It's easy to dent it. So I'm going to try to pry from down here. I actually rather go between the radio and the panel on the inside than on the outside, so I don't damage any of this, but it's going to be up to wherever it is the easiest to get my pry tool started. There we go. So at the lip of the navigation screen was a good spot for me to start to pry, and this is hard plastic so it won't get damaged, and I'm prying underneath the trim bezel so I can't really damage the trim bezel, and that really got me started pretty well. And now I'm going to continue around the inside. You don't just want to yank the panel off, because if you try to pull from here the entire panel, you're going to end up breaking it. So just make sure you're prying from as close to where the clips are. I'll show you the clips in a second. Let me just disconnect some stuff.
So just go top?
Yep.
And walk right?
Yep. So here are the clips I'm referring to. That's where you want to be. This is where you want to pry from, on the bottom and on the sides. Then you have to unclip these. They just have little connectors, so I'll show them to you. Just pinching down right here. So where my thumb is, you pinch down, you pull back. Same design here, same design here. Pinch down, pull back. So after that, now is our 6 screws. So we have a screw here, a screw here, a screw here, a screw there, a screw here, and a screw here. So I'm just going to grab my drill and we'll get those out. So we got all our screws out. It's always handy to have a magnetic pickup tool like this one, just so that you can use it to grab the screws when they fall. So now we're just going to pull our radio out. Before you do this, make sure you have your radio codes. So sometimes your radio codes are in the glove box on a sticker here. Sometimes they're in your owner's manual. If not, you can get them if you look up, if you take your serial number, your VIN, and your phone number, your zip code, radio Acura code or something. Just Google Acura radio code, and then if you have the serial number of the radio, you can find your radio code. But you just want to make sure you have that before you disconnect anything, because then it's going to lose power. It's going to ask you for the code, and if you don't have the code, you're going to have no radio. So back here we have another couple push connectors that you're just going to push down on and disconnect. Then back here we have the regular 20-pin blue connector, and then our antenna. And just like that, our radio is out. So now we're going to work on assembling the dash kit. So our dash kit brings a new side piece, and then the faceplate. This faceplate looks a little small, so I'm just going to test fit our radio before moving forward. So our dash kit sits really good with our radio. As you can see, no gaps or anything. It's going to look real nice. Installing dash kit's pretty simple. It's a total of 6 screws. You have 2 on each side, and then 1, I don't know if you can see it, but going up. So you remove them, the screws from here, you leave the radio there, and you move them to the new dash kit, and then everything lines up good. It looks good. We'll test fit our radio. We're going to mount our radio, and then we're going to do some testing in the car. After this, we're going to go in the car with our harnesses. We're going to play some test tones, see what kind of sound we get, what we're getting sound out of, and what we got to do to keep all our speakers working. So our dash kit is finally together. Here are the screw points we used. You can see it's nice and flush, no gaps or anything. So now we're going to go in the car and mess with our wiring. So for the wiring, we actually needed 2 harnesses to make one. So we have the 70-17-25 and the 70-17-21. This has an amp that powers all the speakers, so you're going to want the RCAs to power your factory amp. And then we're transferring 1 wire from here to keep our steering wheel controls. On our steering wheel controls on the AXSWC one, we used the gray-blue wire. Every other wire we didn't need to hook up. And that gray-blue wire goes to that pin we added, that gray wire. So that's going to keep our steering wheel controls working. Now all we have to do is just solder everything up and get our connections made. And then our steering wheel controls will auto-program. We don't have to hold anything on the steering wheel. The last thing we have to check for is how to get the navigation working. We might be able to just plug it in, get it working, or we might need to use a resistor or something. I'll let you know when I get there. All right, guys, so for the wiring, we actually needed 2 harnesses to make one. So we have the 70-17-25 and the 70-17-21. This has an amp that powers all the speakers, so you're going to want the RCAs to power your factory amp. And then we're transferring 1 wire from here to keep our steering wheel controls. On our steering wheel controls on the AXSWC one, we used the gray-blue wire. Every other wire we didn't need to hook up. And that gray-blue wire goes to that pin we added, that gray wire. So that's going to keep our steering wheel controls working. Now all we have to do is just solder everything up and get our connections made. The last thing we have to check for is how to get the navigation working. We might be able to just plug it in, get it working, or we might need to use a resistor or something. I'll let you know when I get there. Then your wiring is done. We have our steering wheel control module. We just need to plug in. We'll plug everything into the car. We're going to test everything now, and then we'll see if our navigation screen works or if there's something else we have to do. All right, guys, there's nothing special we have to do to keep our navigation working. So I've plugged everything in, and I can just do what I need to do on the navigation. As you can see, our radio's working. Radio sounds really good, but the radio is in. I'll show you obviously when everything is done exactly what everything looks like. But our navigation works, our radio works, we have all our speakers, we have our subwoofer working. That's really it. If you're looking for a wired harness for your car, check out AcuraAudioGarage.com. At the time this video comes out, these may not be available, but if enough people request them, then we'll start making them for you. But I showed you how to do it. It's pretty simple. So I'm going to get back everything. I'm going to put everything back together. I'm going to our steering wheel controls working, and I'll show you what it looks like in the end. That's going to wrap up this video. So 2004 Acura MDX. I said 06 in the beginning. 2004 MDX. 06, same thing. But 2004 MDX, we installed the double DIN. We put that Bose unit in. Pretty straightforward install. If you're looking for very thorough wiring instructions, I recommend stay past this summary and you can see detailed wire instructions. But our radio is in. Let's put a radio station, and then our controls, you can see, are working. And then of course our subwoofer is working. I want to show you that as well. But so we were able to retain our factory subwoofer. And then let me show you the navigation. The navigation works also. So you can see our navigation is working as it should. So this car is all set. That Bose unit is real affordable, and you don't have to run a mic or anything like that. If you're looking for the harness for this car, you can find it on our website, AcuraAudioGarage.com. And that's going to wrap it up for the video, guys. If you are looking for the wiring, just stay tuned. I'll cover the wiring in detail in the last like 2 minutes or 3 minutes of the video. But I hope you enjoyed. Make sure you subscribe, make sure you like the video, share it. If you have an MDX looking to upgrade your radio, it's possible, pretty simple, pretty straightforward. If you don't want to do any wiring, you can get the harness from us, AcuraAudioGarage.com. If not, I'll show you the parts coming up right now. All right guys, a few things about your MDX. Your MDX has a factory amplifier. That factory amplifier powers all your door speakers and your subwoofer. So you want to feed that factory amplifier a low level signal. That's where the 7D1725 is going to come in, which is this. This has RCAs. RCAs is what you want to use to power your speakers for your MDX when you install an aftermarket radio. You also want to pick up a 7D1721 so you can take 2 wires out of it. You need the ground wire and one of the speaker wires from it so that you can add them to your harness. So ultimately you'll end up with a harness that looks like this. You see we have 2 black wires here and here, and then we have a gray wire up here. So that gray wire is our steering wheel control wire, that black wire is our steering wheel control ground. Both of those need to be hooked up for your steering wheel controls to work. If you just buy this and just hook this up, you'll get audio, but your steering wheel controls won't work. So that's an easy out if you don't care about your steering wheel controls. When you go to use the AXSWC 1, so the Metro Access steering wheel control interface, it has a bunch of wires. You only need the following wires. To get your steering wheel controls working, you only need these 3 wires: gray, red, red, and black. Red and black go to red and black on this harness. Is easy to match up. And then gray goes to gray. So this harness we sell if you don't want to pin and unpin stuff, but if not, you're gonna have to make it by taking pins from this harness into this one. And the places that you put those pins are, one goes right next to that red and the other one goes below the blue. So I'll show you what it looks like when it's in, next to the red and below the blue. That's where you want to unpin and put them. To unpin the terminal from the front, you're gonna need something that can get in there, a small screwdriver, or if not, an unpin tool. Push up on the tab and lift out the back. It can be a little annoying, so if you want to save yourself the frustration, AcuraAudioGarage.com, we have this. Now when it comes to wiring, it's extremely simple. You're only hooking up 5 wires here, or 6 wires. 7 wires with your steering wheel control, and it's all color matching. So you can go black, all your blacks together, all your reds together, your blue white to your blue white on your radio, orange to orange, yellow to yellow. If you're doing the Bose radio like us, there's a ton of wires here. All of your speaker wires you aren't going to use. So your pair of whites, your pair of greens, your pair of purples, your pair of grays, you're not going to hook up to anything. Then that'll leave you with about another 6 to 8 wires. You're just going to color match. So you'll find your orange wire, your red wire, your blue wire, etc. And it's just matching color to color. How you connect them is up to you. I recommend soldering, but if you want to just twist them together with tape, it's up to you. I recommend if you're gonna go twist together with tape, at least get the white caps. I forget what they're called, but you can like squeeze and they'll hold tight. But that's really it. When it comes to wiring for your MDX, it's pretty straightforward as long as you start with the right harness. If you don't start with the right harness, then you're gonna have to make one yourself. And it's a little tricky, but if you're well versed in car audio or know what you're doing, then those are the 2 part numbers you need. If you'd rather not worry about all that, you can find this on our website, AcuraAudioGarage.com. If you don't want to do any wiring, AcuraAudioGarage.com will have the complete harness ready for you. So that's all you need. But again, guys, thanks for watching. I hope the information was helpful, and stay tuned for the next video.